The crisp scent of pine permeated the air, an earthy contrast to the suffocating silence that had become a staple in our marriage. Christine had insisted, almost desperately, on this couple's retreat, a weekend in a secluded mountain cabin, free from the distractions of the digital world. A chance to reconnect, she had said, her eyes carrying an unease I had chosen to overlook. I had convinced myself it was stress. Maybe this was her way of offering an olive branch, a last-ditch effort to salvage what little remained of us. As I hefted our luggage from the car, the weight in my chest only deepened. For months, an invisible barrier had stood between us, impenetrable and suffocating. Intimacy had become a hollow formality, a mechanical routine punctuated by her absence. Even when she was physically present, she was somewhere else, lost in a world I wasn't privy to. I had tried, God, I had tried, to reach her, but it was like grasping at a shadow, fleeting and insubstantial. The lodge was picturesque, nestled between towering redwoods, its rustic charm offering a deceptive warmth. At the front desk, a woman with kind eyes and a name tag reading Brenda greeted us with a smile. "Welcome," she said warmly, handing me a clipboard and a welcome packet. For the first time in months, a flicker of hope stirred within me as I took the clipboard. "You've got a beautiful place here," I remarked, forcing sincerity into my voice. "Thank you, dear. You too enjoy your stay," she replied, her knowing smile lingering as she gestured toward a small desk where I could fill out the form. Christine had already wandered off to the restroom, the sharp clicks of her boots echoing against the wooden floor. I unfolded the paper, my pen hovering over the first few lines. Name, address, emergency contact, the usual details. But then, near the bottom, my gaze snagged on something that didn't belong. A name, not a relative, not a doctor. A single word that might as well have been written in blood. Dylan. A cold wave of nausea swept over me. It wasn't just the name itself. It was the way she had always spoken it, softly, reverently, as if it carried a significance I wasn't meant to understand. In an instant, 1,000 fragmented memories clicked into place. The late nights at work, the secrecy surrounding her phone, the widening chasm between us. The truth had been there all along, lurking in the periphery, waiting for me to acknowledge it. And now, there it was, in black and white, undeniable. Christine emerged from the restroom and froze when she saw me standing motionless, the clipboard clutched in my grip. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice laced with an unmistakable undercurrent of unease. I didn't speak. I simply extended the form, my finger pressing against the name that had shattered the last remnants of my delusion. Her gaze followed mine, and in an instant, the color drained from her face. A tremor ran through her fingers as she gripped the edge of the counter. How could you?" The words left me in a hoarse whisper, raw and broken. Her mouth opened, but no excuses came. For so long, she had carried herself with unwavering confidence, so sure she could maintain the illusion, that she could balance this fragile, crumbling marriage while leading a double life. But now, the facade had cracked, and she saw the truth reflected in my expression. The game was over. "It's not," she began, but the lie withered before it could take shape. A bitter scoff escaped me. "Not what?" "Not his name. Not an emergency contact." My voice hardened, the fury simmering beneath the surface threatening to spill over. "Did you think I wouldn't notice? That I wouldn't see it? Is this your idea of reconnecting? Bringing me here while sneaking off to be with him?" Her eyes welled with tears, but they meant nothing to me now. Regret, if it even existed within her, was hollow, a shallow performance. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. But there was no weight behind it, no true remorse, just empty words falling into the chasm she had created. My anger ignited, raw and unrestrained. "Sorry," I echoed, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "That's it? After everything? Our life? Our years together? That's all you have to say?" My fists clenched at my sides, trembling with barely contained fury. "Where's the sincerity, Christine? Where's the guilt? The actual remorse?" She recoiled, her tears now flowing freely, but I didn't care. "I gave you everything," I continued, my voice rising. "And this is how you repay me? Who even are you? What kind of person does this?" The rage inside me reached its breaking point. I had wasted years of my life on a lie, Devoted myself to a woman who had thrown me aside for a meaningless affair with someone who barely existed outside her office walls. I drew a slow, measured breath, forcing steel into my voice. Here's what's going to happen, Christine. You're going to pack your bags. You're going to leave. You are no longer welcome in my life. Her eyes widened in shock, her body frozen as her carefully constructed world crumbled around her. Tears streamed down her face, but they did nothing to move me. There was no salvaging this, no fixing what she had destroyed. At the front desk, Brenda glanced in our direction, her polite curiosity shifting into quiet concern. Christine lifted a trembling hand, as if trying to stop the inevitable. Wait, she stammered, her voice laced with desperation. I didn't let her finish. I grabbed a room key off the desk, my hands unsteady, not from pain, but from resolution. They trembled with finality. I'll call you an Uber, I said, my tone cold, devoid of emotion. Go upstairs, pack whatever you have, and be back here in 5 minutes. If you're not, I'll drag you out myself. The color drained from her face, panic settling in. You can't, she whispered, her voice small, defeated. I exhaled sharply, my gaze unwavering. I can and I will. We took vows, for better or worse. You threw away better a long time ago. Now all that's left for you is the worst. And I'll stand here and watch you sink. She gasped softly, realization dawning. Then, without another word, she turned and ran, her boots hammering frantic footsteps against the wooden floor as she disappeared down the hallway. I stood there, strangely empty inside. No more rage, no more anguish, just a cold, quiet satisfaction. A part of me wanted to make her feel every ounce of the pain she had inflicted on me. But watching her scramble to pack up what little of our life remained was a punishment greater than any words I could offer. I waited outside, motionless. When she finally emerged, dragging her suitcase behind her, she didn't meet my gaze. She walked past me, straight to the parking lot, her silence louder than any plea could have been. Minutes later, the Uber pulled up. Without a word, I loaded her suitcase into the trunk. I didn't look back. I didn't say goodbye. I simply shut the trunk, turned away, and let her go. She didn't fight it. She didn't beg. She didn't even attempt another excuse. She knew it was over. I paid the driver to take her to the nearest town, leaving her to figure out her next steps, just as she had forced me to figure out mine. As the car pulled away, I watched her disappear in the rearview mirror. This wasn't just an ending. It was a reckoning. For the first time in a long while, I felt at peace. Back inside the lodge, Brenda gave me a small, knowing smile and slid the cabin key across the counter. Looks like you've got the place to yourself now, she said gently. We can throw in some extra towels and add breakfast to your stay. I let out a slow breath, something inside me finally unraveling. That would be great, I replied, taking the key. As I walked to my cabin, the last remnants of her betrayal faded into the crisp mountain air. This retreat was supposed to be about saving our marriage, but the truth was, she had never given us a real chance. Now I had one. For the first time in years, I didn't have to wonder where she was or who she was with. I spent the weekend hiking, feeling the earth beneath my feet, letting the clean air fill my lungs. The lodge had a communal fire pit, and I found myself laughing with strangers. Genuine laughter, the kind I had forgotten was possible. This wasn't the weekend I had planned, but it turned out to be exactly what I needed. I was still the same person I had always been. Kind, loyal, trusting. But now, I could be that person again without the weight of betrayal dragging me down. Driving home on Sunday evening, I felt no sadness, no grief, only understanding. There was nothing left to hold on to, no emotions left to untangle, just the certainty that life would go on. Christine's lies had nearly destroyed me, but now that the storm had passed, I was grateful she was no longer part of my world. As I pulled into my driveway, my home untouched by her presence, I realized the truth. The only reconnection I had ever needed wasn't with her. It was with myself. The journey had been brutal, but now, finally, I could be kind to myself again.